In this video clip, we're going to look at an alternative way of joining your leader to your fly line. Now, I normally glue them into the fly line, but there are a few problems with that. Some fly lines won't allow you to do it. The core is too small, or they're mono core, and you can't use a needle and super glue splice. And the other thing is, if you do need to change your leader on the river, it's very difficult to do that with a super glue splice leader. This is a way of making a leader you can either put on your fly line up front, or you can carry it as a spare, emergency spare. You need a copolymer leader. This is a 9-foot 4x, not 9-foot 4x copolymer leader, and I'm going to add on the river additional tippet to it to bring it down to about 7x. But choose a tippet diameter that suits your application. You need a bobbin holder and some thread, fly tying bobbin holder and some thread, some scissors, a short, approximately 6 to 9 inch length of braided monofilament. This is stuff they make braided loops out of, and it's sold as backing in most fly shops. And some varnish or some glue just to finish off the whip finishes. So first of all, take your tapered leader out of the packet, put it over your fingers like this, and unwind it. If you hold it on your fingers like this, you won't end up with a tangle. If you just pull it out of the packet, you will end up with a very unpleasant mess that will take you a long time to sort out. Once you've unwound the leader completely, there we go. Go to the butt end of the leader. You can do this in a number of ways, but I actually like to just trap it in my fly tying vise. That makes it nice and easy. Take some sandpaper, or this is a diamond dust hook hone, and rough up probably about 6 inches or so of the butt. This just helps give some purchase to the braid that we're going to put on there later. It doesn't matter that you're damaging the nylon a little bit, because it's so strong up here compared to the tippet you're using that it'll never break. So you don't need to worry about that. Take your braid and thread it onto the copolymer leader. It usually frays a little bit when you do it, but that doesn't matter. And thread it all the way onto the leader until you can slide it down. So you're going to pull it back up later on. Once the braid is on the leader, just slide it all the way down out of the way of the sanded piece of the leader. And then we're going to tie a double overhand knot. If you tie a single overhand knot, your leader will have a kink in it. If you tie a double overhand knot in it, the finished result will give you a straight line. And you want to pull this really tight, so I'm going to moisten it, put it in the fly tying vise, and pull. Until you've got a little smooth knot in the middle of the sanded piece of your leader. Once you put that knot there, it's just to help give some grip to the braid. Slide the braid back up, and the braid, as you push it, will open up over that knot, and slide it up and off the end of the leader, so there's an overhang, and then pull tight. That needs to go a bit further up. I haven't got quite enough overhang on that one. There we go. Now, remarkably, that won't slip off already. It's tight. It's grip tight. But we're going to whip finish just to stop these ends fraying. To whip finish around the end of the braid below the knot, we take the bobbin holder, make sure it's set fairly stiff tension on it so you don't smack yourself in the face. Hold the braid and the knot and the thread and just spin it like this, and you can then find you can manipulate it up and down the, if you need to put out a bit more thread. Give a nice smooth whip finish, and then we're going to whip finish by hand as you would with a fishing fly. Just need to tuck the tag end through the loop each time and pull tight. Like that. Once you've done your whip finish, take the scissors and just trim off the excess thread and these little hairy fibres from the braid that have frayed at the end. And they have very smooth joint. Once you've whip finished, you'll see you've got a very, very neat smooth joint there, and you can add a drop of varnish or super glue just to prevent those thread wraps unwinding. In fact, you can just put a drop of super glue on the end to stop it fraying, and that's enough, but this is just a little bit more secure. And there we have now a copolymer leader with a little tiny braided butt section on it that isn't going to slip off, and you can thread your fly line up into the braid and just whip finish it, either as a permanent fixture or as an emergency on the river. Very well worth carrying one of these things. Very simple to replace the leader if you need to. On the river, if you want to fit the new leader, just take the fly line, thread it up the middle of the braid. It's just always a bit of a fiddle to get it started. It helps a bit if you cut the fly line at a slight angle, and just push the fly line up the middle of the braid. If you want a really neat finish, you push it until it just overlaps the nylon inside and pull tight. It's almost there. I'm just going to try to get it to overlap slightly the nylon. Not quite there. So when I pull, there we go. And there's your joint. This won't come off, but you can push it off. So you're going to whip finish again here at the back end of the braid just to stop it unraveling or slipping off. At home you can do it with the same trick with the fly tying bobbin. On the river you can just put a drop of glue on it, or just do a little whip finish with some tippet material, trim the frayed ends off, and you're ready to go. Very smooth joint. Very little in the way of knots to catch, much smoother than a loop, particularly the knotted loops in the backs of copolymer leaders. Of course, you could do the same thing with braid and have a braided loop here if you wanted to loop it onto your fly line. I don't like loops, but you can do that if you want to. So there it is, an alternative emergency leader setup. You can carry in your pocket, replace it on the river if you need to.